So, what if the solution to protecting a free press wasn't just some single magic bullet policy, but a perfectly mixed cocktail? Today, we're going to break down a really fascinating framework for media independence that's called the cocktail method, a special recipe designed to keep power in check.
But first, let's back up a second. Why do we even need a recipe like this so urgently? Well, because all over the globe, the free press is in serious trouble. The very institutions we rely on to hold our leaders accountable are facing a massive threat. So what's at the heart of this problem?
It really boils down to one thing: money. The old business model for news, the one that ran on ads and subscriptions, was completely upended by the internet. So now, news organizations find themselves more and more dependent on outside cash, whether that's from governments or powerful private funders. And, when someone's paying all your bills, well, it's pretty tough to stay objective. So how in the world do you fix a problem that big? The source material we're looking at today argues there's no single easy answer. Instead, it proposes a mix of solutions, a whole framework it calls the cocktail method. So what exactly is this cocktail method? Well, it's not just one policy, it's a multi-layered strategy. And the name is just perfect, right? Because just like a real cocktail, its power comes from combining all these different ingredients to create something way stronger than any one of them could be on its own. And here it is. Here's our recipe. These are the 5 essential ingredients we're going to dive into: law, institutions, funding, citizens, and academia. Each one of these is absolutely crucial, and you're about to see how they all have to work together to build a system that can actually last. Okay, our first ingredient is the foundation for the entire recipe. Every good cocktail needs a strong base, and for media independence, that base is the law. It's what provides the clear, solid rules that everything else gets built on top of. Now, the crucial point here isn't to have thousands of complicated regulations, but just a few but strong core principles. First, you need those big, high-level guarantees, something like the EU's European Media Freedom Act, the EMFA, which protects media independence at almost a constitutional level. Second, any funding rules have to be content neutral. A great example is Australia's bargaining code. It forces big tech platforms to pay for news, but, and this is key, the government doesn't get to decide which stories get funded. And finally, every single decision has to be challengeable in court. That judicial review, that's the ultimate safeguard against political games. Okay, so you've got strong laws on the books. Great, but who actually enforces them? Well, that brings us to our second ingredient: strong, independent institutions. You absolutely need a referee on the field that isn't playing for either team. The real challenge here is often how these institutions are designed. A lot of countries have what's called a many-headed horse problem. Power over the media is spread out across a bunch of different government departments, which actually just creates more chances for politicians to meddle. The solution? A one-stop model, like Ofcom in the UK. It consolidates that regulatory power into a single body, making it much, much harder for politicians to exert their influence. But how do you keep that one-stop shop truly independent? Well, there are 3 key mechanisms. First, you use the arm's length principle, which basically means the government sets the big picture rules, but can't interfere in the day-to-day operations. Second, you depoliticize appointments by making sure there's cross-party agreement. And third, you have any public money managed through independent foundations, so politicians aren't the ones directly handing out checks to their favorite news channels. Which leads us perfectly to ingredient number 3, the money. Because let's be real, even with the best laws and institutions in the world, if a news organization gets all its cash from a single source, it will always be vulnerable. A healthy media ecosystem needs a mixed diet of funding. Ideally, it looks something like this: a blend of public funds, fees from citizens like the BBC model, crowdfunding, memberships, and even revenue sharing from tech platforms. The source points to Nordic countries, where this kind of diverse portfolio helps even small local papers survive without being controlled by any one single interest. And this right here, this is really the key takeaway. It's not about finding some mythical, perfectly clean source of money. The real goal is just to avoid the danger of having a single dominant funder who can pull the plug or, tighten the purse strings at any moment. All right, now for our final 2 ingredients, which are so deeply connected, we're going to look at them together. We're talking about citizens and academia. Think of these as the social foundation that the whole system rests on. Without them, the rest of the structure, the laws, the institutions, the funding, it all just crumbles. So what's our role in all this? First, we have to be smart consumers of news, right? We need the media literacy to spot misinformation when we see it. Second, we kind of need a shift in our mindset. Supporting good journalism isn't just a consumer choice, like buying a cup of coffee. It's a public duty. And finally, a healthy democracy needs citizens who actually demand quality, objective reporting, not just stuff that confirms what they already believe. That public demand is the engine that drives this whole thing.
And where do those informed citizens come from? Well, that's the final, crucial piece of our puzzle, an independent education system. Academia is what fosters critical thinking and media literacy skills in the first place. An independent university system is what creates the kind of citizens who can value, demand, and ultimately sustain a free and independent press. You see, it's all connected. So let's do a quick recap of our complete cocktail. We've got a strong base of law, a professional and independent layer of institutions, a diversified mix of funding, and it's all held up by informed citizens that are produced by an independent academia.
And this is maybe the most important point of all. This isn't just a checklist where you can pick and choose what you like. These 5 elements form an entire ecosystem. They all reinforce each other, and if one part fails, if the laws are weak or the citizens aren't informed, the whole system becomes fragile. So yes, it's a complex recipe for a very, very complex problem. No doubt about it. But it leaves us with a critical question to think about. In a world that's facing so many challenges to truth and objectivity, is there really any other way to guarantee the health of our democracy?